Probably one of the most frustrating experiences in life is looking for an above-average job with above-average pay without becoming an above-average person. It's called frustration.
Whenever people fail to achieve their goals 99.9% of the time, and you ask them why, they'll tell you it's because of a lack of resources. That's what all these things are. I didn't have the support, right? I didn't have the money, we didn't have the time, we didn't have this, we didn't have that. There's a resource that people believe is missing. And that resource belief structure then keeps people from ever being able to really lead. Because what leaders do is they find a way to maximize whatever resources they have, as little as they may be, and they don't believe in limited resources. What are the emotions that make all this possible? What's the fuel that takes an idea from being in your head where you intellectually know what to do? How many have had an idea, for example, was a great idea, you're excited about it, and then you didn't do anything. One day, there you saw it on the shelf, you saw it somewhere else, someone stole your idea. How many have had this happen? Say I.
Whenever you look at where you want to go, I'm wanting to warn you, you will have some conversation back here after you go through the data that you've experienced in life saying you can't do it. And so what you want to begin to do is ignore that inner conversation. Well, most people, ladies and gentlemen, when something happens to them, what they do is they begin to believe that that's the way it is. That's the way it's always been. And they can't see the possibility of it being any different.
What are you feeding on? Pay attention to what you're putting in your spirit. You're called to be an eagle, but sometimes we're acting like a chicken. Do you know a chicken will eat its own waste? A chicken feeds off of what's been discarded, off of what's supposed to be trash. Maybe that's why a chicken has wings, but it can't really fly. It holds on to what it should have released. You need to view the negative things in your life as waste. You're not supposed to feed on it. It's over, you've been through it, you've eliminated it, now move on. Don't go back to what you've released. If you're always feeding off of what's been discarded, reliving old hurts, thinking about what you've lost, that's going to keep you from flying.
And I'm saying that if you know anybody that had some goal, some dream, something they wanted to do, and they did it, then I'm saying that you know in your heart that if someone has done it, then you can do it. It's possible. And that if someone can make their dream become a reality, that it's possible that you can make your dream become reality. And so as you begin to look at where you want to go, beginning to embrace that, it's possible. I'm blessed and highly favored. I've got a lot going for me. I got some good stuff in me. And it's possible that I can bring my greatness out here in the universe. That I can do what I want to do. It's possible I can write my own book. I can have my own business. I can take the trip and travel around the world. It's possible. I can bounce back from adversity and reinvent my life. It's possible. Regardless of where I am, the things can get better for me. It's possible.
What direction is your attitude taking you? In your marriage, in your relationships? Are you kind, respectful, fun to be around? In your career, are you positive, being your best, helping others? Or do you need to make an adjustment? Don't wait till it's too late, till the relationship comes to an end, till the company says they don't need you anymore. Make the changes now. Get rid of anything you know that's holding you back. Being negative, finding fault, that old attitude doesn't smell good. It's going to taint you everywhere you go. This couple moved into a new neighborhood. One morning while they were eating breakfast, the lady looked out the window and saw her neighbor hanging the wash on the line to dry. And she noticed the wash was so dirty and so dingy. She said to her husband, "That neighbor doesn't know how to wash. The clothes aren't clean. She must not even use detergent." Week after week, she looked out this window and saw the clothes and made the same comments about how dirty the laundry was. One morning, she looked out the window and the clothes were as clean and bright as could be. She couldn't believe it. She called her husband in, said, "Look, she finally learned how to wash. I wonder what happened." The husband smiled and said, "Honey, I got up early this morning and cleaned our windows." The problem wasn't that the neighbor's laundry was so dirty. The problem was the window the lady was looking out was not clean. Many times, how dirty our neighbor's clothes are depends on how clean our window is. The scripture says, to the pure, all things are pure. And if you're always finding fault, complaining about the traffic, critical of your spouse, may I suggest your window is dirty? The problem is not external, it's internal. You're looking through a tainted filter. At some point, we have to look in the mirror and say, maybe I'm the one that needs to change. Maybe I've developed a habit of seeing what's wrong rather than what's right. Maybe I've trained myself to be negative, disrespectful, hard to get along with. That's why it's so important every morning to put on this fresh, new attitude. I'm excited about this day. I don't have to go to work. I get to go to work. I'm grateful for this job. I'm not focusing on what's wrong. Lord, I want to thank you for what's right in my life. You know what you're doing? You're cleaning your windows.
Now, think of this for a moment. You and I have infinite potential. Now, I said before, I don't know how much infinite is. I just know it's a lot. Has no beginning and no end. That's the potential we've got. We've got all of this power, yet if you watch the way most people live, you would think that they were just about out of juice. A lot of people, when their heart stops beating, it's going to be a formality. I mean, they just sort of sit. They never really get it going. Yet we have infinite potential. We're dealing with something pretty big. If we're going to find out something about ourselves, we have to look at this. You say, this is over my head. No, it's not. I teach this to kids. I got it. This all tied into the science of getting rich. Rich resources are lying dormant within us. You and I are spiritual beings. There's only two sources of reference to go to find out anything about ourselves. One's science and the other's theology. You'll hear people say they're having a spiritual experience. They're not having a spiritual experience. They are spiritual. They're having a physical experience. We're spiritual beings living in physical bodies, and we've been gifted with an intellect. Most people really don't understand that part. But that's where the power lies. All right? And our emotional state is going to be determined by how we use our intellectual factors. Andrew Carnegie told Napoleon Hill, he said, any idea that's held in the mind, that's emphasized, that's either feared or revered, will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate physical form that's available. You see, Dr. J.B. Ryan said the mind is the greatest power in all of creation. Very few people understand it. If you go on our website, you just go to bobproctor.com, you'll see a quote there by Dr. John Mike, a psychiatrist from Florida. He said, I taught him more about the mind in 1 year than he'd learned in 4 years of medical school, 5 years of psychiatric training. And what I taught him was just what a Dr. Roeder taught me. I was always amazed by that. I thought, what do they teach you in medical school? You know, and what we're doing is getting in at the non-physical side of ourselves, and that's where all the power lies. It's a beautiful concept as we start to understand it. What do we need? We need understanding. You really want to change your income, you've got to change your understanding. Now, there's only two things you have to know to really make things happen big in your life. Number one, you have to know where you are, and number two, you have to know where you're going. Now, you see, most programs get you focused on where you're going. That's very important that we have a goal. You've got to know where you're going. But what happened to me that was totally different is Ray Stanford got me to focus first on where I was. He got me to look at what I was doing with my life, got me to take responsibility. He said, your results aren't bad and they're not good, they're just results. Nothing's bad or good except our thinking makes it so. He said, you have to ask yourself, are those the results you want? And I said, no. Well, he said, if you will pay attention and you'll do what I suggest, I can show you how to change it. You see? And my whole life started to change. Most people get us focused on the goal. If we don't know where we're at, we're not going to... Let's suppose we all bail out of a plane and safely land somewhere on the planet. Our objective is to get to this room. Now, we know where this theater is. We know where this room is. Our problem is we don't know where we are. Now, let's say it's overcast. We'll build a ridiculous situation. It's overcast. There's no street signs. There's no wind. There's no compass. There's no map. There's no people.
But we know we're on the north. I mean, we could be in Milwaukee heading towards the Canadian border. We could be in Los Angeles heading towards Tijuana. You could be in Atlanta heading towards Miami. We could be right outside this theater and walk away from it. If we don't know where we are, it won't matter where you're going. So you see, we've got to take a good, honest look at ourselves. What am I doing? What works? What doesn't? Who am I? And as we really get a grip on this, everything in our world will begin to change. You see, what we're seeking always is greater awareness. We're always wanting to raise our level of awareness because our results are an expression of our level of awareness. And the only way to improve results is to increase our level of awareness. All right? Now, effective goals inspire us to move to increasingly higher levels of awareness. Now here, yes, what you'll find that people say they want. They want greater health, happiness, peace of mind. All these results are the result of a higher level of awareness. So it's awareness that we should be seeking. We want to raise this and everything else starts to happen. It happens like unadulterated magic. That's what happened to me and I couldn't understand it. Now there's a basic law that said everything in life is either growing or dying. It's either create or disintegrate. So you're never going to stay where you are. Your results are going to get better or they're going to get worse. It's create or disintegrate. No one stays where they are. Now the truth is, I think most people get a little better and a little worse. A little better and a little worse. When they get a little better, they're forcing it. But force negates. You see, there's something inside of you that's urging you to grow. This is the spiritual side of our personality. It's the essence of our being. And spirit's always for expansion and fuller expression. There's something in you that wants you to grow. If you run, you want to run faster. If you jump, you want to jump higher. If you sell, you want to sell more. This is good. It causes dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction is a creative state. My grandmother pretty well raised me, and she taught me that I should be satisfied with what I've got. Grandma was wrong. I should be happy with what I've got, but never satisfied. It's dissatisfaction that gave us the incandescent light. It's dissatisfaction that gave us air travel. It's dissatisfaction that gave us the internet. All those things were always here. People just became aware of them. Way to fly an airplane was always here. We can go all over the world now. We're not a long ways from anywhere. We're only a short period of time away. Well, there's something inside wanting us to grow. There's something else that's trying to stop us. And that's the old paradigm. Now, you've got the one side that wants you to grow and the other side that doesn't want you to grow. The old paradigm does not want you to grow. Anyone that has smoked and quit smoking, I used to smoke. I quit years ago. But I remember it wasn't an easy thing to do. It was not. Why? Because it was a habit. Habits are not easy to get rid of. Habits are ideas that are fixed in here that control us. Many of you have gone on diets. You want to lose weight. I'll just toss something in for your benefit. When you lose something, you're programmed to do what? To look for it. Get rid of the idea of losing weight. Release it. Release it. See yourself at your perfect weight, looking good and feeling great. Your whole life is controlled by images. Get the image of the body that you want to live in, of the world you want. Quit trying to lose weight. Just release it and see yourself the way you want to be.
What do successful people do that's different from other people?
Success leaves clues. If someone has done very well financially for decade after decade, they're not lucky. They're doing something different. If someone is fit and healthy and they've managed it for 20 years, they're lucky. They got a great relationship. They're not lucky.
One of the things that we find is that successful people, all of them, are very action-oriented. In other words, if they get an idea, they move quickly on it. If they learn something new, they try it out. Now people say, well, what if it doesn't work? Well, if it doesn't work, find out quickly. There's a rule, there's try quickly and fail fast.
If somebody's wealthy and happy, you've got a list for things to change for you. You've got to change. Otherwise, it isn't going to change.
Resources are interesting, but the ultimate resources are the feelings of emotion that make you resourceful. Resourcefulness is the ultimate resource.
The wonderful thing is that you can't lose by trying something new. So if you were to take successful people, and there's many studies that have been done on this, if you could only look at them through a window and look at a group of people, look through the window, you could tell who the successful people are because they're always in motion. They're always trying more things. They're always active. Unsuccessful people are always waiting for everything to be just right. It's like waiting for a bus on a street where no buses go. They're still waiting. Where the bus? The bus never comes. Successful people are always taking action. So if all you do is just take more action, just get busier, you'll be more successful.
It's possible to do much better at the marketplace if you go to work primarily on yourself. Learning to work primarily on yourself. How do you develop an above average income? And the answer is, become an above average person. Develop an above average handshake. Some people want to be successful, they don't even work on their handshake. As easy as that would be to start on. They let it slide, they don't understand. Develop an above average smile. Develop an above average excitement. Develop an above average interest in other people. Develop an above average intensity to win. See, that'll change everything.